Welcome to the Small Business Surgeon Podcast, the show where we dissect the businesses of top producers, examine their growth strategies, and share with you the bare bones of their success. I am your host, Samuel Smith, and I'm glad you're here. Let's operate. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to this week's episode of the Small Business Surgeon Podcast. And guys, today's guest is an absolute powerhouse in the world of e-comm. He is the CEO and founder of Voltage Digital Marketing and has over 15 years experience in the industry. Neil, welcome to the show, man. I'm very pleased to have you on.
Well, thanks for having me on, Samuel. I appreciate it, brother.
Man, digital marketing. Tell us about that. How'd you get started in that? It seems like both of us are a little bit older than the current digital marketing crowd.
Well, yeah, I've been around since the digital market sort of came on.
Right.
You know, post media buying for a televised world in the internet obviously changed that dramatically.
It's so much, hasn't it?
Well, like you and I aren't that old, but man, 30 years has changed our country, our world with the internet so dramatically fast. I think it makes everybody feel like it's just been around forever, but it really hasn't. There are people here who are still alive that don't remember it.
I know. And there's people in the workplace now that have never used a yellow pages, like for reference. And you're just like, well.
And there's a world of kids that have grown up in the last generation that have never not known life without a cell phone.
I know.
Like for us, a cell phone was a privilege. You didn't have it. I didn't get one until I was in my 20s.
Oh, wow.
Even available,
right?
Yeah. So it's a strange dichotomy to have been in this world yet not be that old. I mean, I'm 48. I don't think I'm that old. I don't feel 48. I don't act like it either. Whatever that means, because I don't know what it means anymore. To be different in age, but just so much has changed, and so digital marketing has been a component of a growing aspect of my life since the internet came online.
I couldn't agree more.
What's that?
I couldn't agree more. Sorry, carry on.
Oh yeah. It changed the dramatic. For me, it was a dramatic change and pivot into a whole different kind of life. I mean, I got a music scholarship, and I thought I was going to be a music guy, and spend my life playing music. And then the internet came, and I'm like, the whole world changed. It's like, oh my gosh, like there's so many things I can do now. This is opening up. I want to know about e-commerce. This is fascinating. I started playing with computers and putting them together when Windows 3.1 came out. And, before that, it was green screens and terminals with, green screen internet addresses where we could actually get an email. Holy cow. This evolved extremely fast, right?
I remember taking typing classes in high school on typewriters.
A typewriter, right? Yeah. We had just little program machines that were just for word processing only, but they were super basic.
Yeah.
Right. That's all you could do on it was just type. And so the evolution of those, graphical interfaces just dramatically changed everything. And I wanted to be a part of it.
We live in the future, don't we?
Well, we are. The future now is that my cell phone is 10 times more powerful than my first computer. It has more data streaming. It's faster. It's got more memory and onboard and capability and real-time communications. And my first computer didn't have any of that.
Yep.
So it has moved so fast. So digital marketing has also moved so fast. And quite frankly, no one has it figured out.
No. So what did you do before digital marketing? And how did you get bitten by that bug?
Well, I was in management consulting most of my career. I got into it through consulting in Sprint with a telecom, long distance telecom, when I was programming and learning how to program on the fly, because it was still so new that databases and data driven web pages and applications and all that stuff were just being developed by the people who were willing to learn how to do it and become a part of it, because there was no degrees. No one was graduating.
Right.
Programming and older languages were being translated very quickly out of things like Fortran and COBOL for server and mainframe language into data dynamic, driven HTML, ASP language and database driven. And that was moving extremely fast. And so I was literally just programming on the fly in real time, learning how to build the projects and do the business and staying up late and just consuming and acting, and got pretty good at it.
Yeah.
And that actually led me to a job at Sprint PCS with the first mobile phone launch.
Oh,
so
wow.
I was on the first support team, myself and 5 people. I was 21. I was told, here's your team of 5 people that we pulled together. Go support this website for all of these reps who are going to be taking calls for phones and phones inbound. We were learning how to do all that on the fly as we watched the first cell phone get launched.
Yeah, because none of it existed. You had to make it up as you went along.
Yeah.
Wow.
Got one of the first mobile phones and Sprint numbers that were handed out for mobile. Still have it today. It's my number I've had forever. Probably never going to get rid of it. I've paid more than on my cell phone, I think, than I have for multiple children's college educations, which I'm just going to, that'll altogether. But long
Yeah.
story short, mobile phones have been around for a long time, but just learned how to do it, grew it. The business was growing so fast, the money was being deployed if you could learn it and get going. The simple phrase that I learned through that process, which eventually led me to go to work at IBM, was it's who you know that gets you there, and it's what you know that keeps you there.
Yeah.
So as I
Yeah.
was learning what I knew, it was all about understanding how to network and have relationships. And when a project team came on from IBM during the 5th year I was at Sprint, Sprint had grown extremely fast in 5 years, from 5,000th employee pulled together from all their contractors and local telecoms to form this new division called Sprint PCS, Personal Communication Services, PCS,
Hmm.
to this juggernaut of an industry leading mobile telecom in about 5 years. They were the industry leader, but they fell into some major problems. So they hired IBM to come in and fix their business processes, right?
Oh, wow. Okay.
And since we were the lead team for all customer support and activations, it moved from 5,000 employees to 80,000 employees. There were 2,500 reps to 25,000 reps internationally all over the globe. My job changed very dramatically.
Right.
And I made a relationship, real friends, with a couple of the partners who were at IBM at that time. And we're running the project. And after a year and basically a year and a half of working with them, one of them said, "Hey, you know what? We'd love to be able to have you do more of this for IBM. Would you consider working for us?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he said, "Okay, there's this job. Go check it out."
Hmm.
They flew me. It took longer to get to New York to do the 20-minute interview to get the job and then fly all the way back to Kansas City. And then I was an IBMer. And I spent the next almost 5 years doing the same thing for IBM, just at a global scale in larger companies, at bigger boardrooms, and more travel.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
A lot more travel. Call it I've been moved for a reason,
Oh,
because we were all over the globe.
that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah. But digital marketing was just a component of then leaving that situation, firing the boss, firing the man, if you will, in 2007, setting out to be my own management consultant and basically do what I was doing, but do it in a greater spectrum beyond IBM.
Hmm.
Eventually, IBM became a client, which is fascinating. And then worked through the process of building up my own management consultancy and around knowledge and learning and systems and developing machine language and artificial intelligence stuff we were dealing with for mainstream as well as private sectors, public and private.
Right.
Long story short, I needed more leads, need more clients. So
Hmm.
got busy working on digital marketing online, which I hadn't really been doing a lot of at that point. I had been playing enough with the internet to know how to make money, because I actually had a company called Killer Game Servers that I was running as a side hustle at IBM. I thought I was actually going to leave IBM to run that game
Okay.
server company, and it didn't work out that way. But long story short, I gained a lot of understanding about relationships and internet and marketing that wasn't paid traffic. So I started a lot of paid media buying afterwards to learn how to make that work, and actually found out I was really good at it. Long story short, got really good at running the offers and the lead gen, but didn't own the products and the actual offer, and decided, well, it's time for me to start building brands in 2012,
Hmm.
and let's build some brands. So started looking at brand building and made our first 7-figure brand by 2014. And pretty much, as they say, the rest is history, because I've been building brands ever since then using Amazon's FBA platform and then moving into alternative shops, TikTok shops, Walmart, Etsy, anywhere you can
Right.
sell products. And have been doing that since 2012, really focusing on a process and a methodology we developed to go through an iterative testing cycle, and then developing the brand, and then launching the brand out into the greater marketplace, and have followed that process relatively successful, I think,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
since the time frame when we started. Yeah.
Well, man, I've got so many questions. Yeah. Well,
I had to
well,
race through that. I don't want anybody bored. Hopefully, I didn't lose half your audience just now explaining my
no,
long-term story there.
no. It's all about the story. It's all about the journey and what you get up
It is a
to.
journey. Everybody's on a journey. That is for sure. We're always on a.
I wanted to point out that starting your own company in 2007 was pretty brave. Was that a stormy sea that you had to navigate through 2008, 2009?
Well, I would say that if anybody's listening to this and they haven't started a business, then they don't truly understand that you're never ready to start a business.
That's true. Yeah.
You really aren't. You may think you got the time or the money, you might have the attention, you might think this is the right moment. Maybe you think you got that really great idea or whatever.
Hmm.
The end result is, until you actually go out, execute, and do what I say, and I think it's phrased somewhere else. I'm going to find the original person who quoted this. I don't know who did it, so I don't want to take their thing, but burn the boats and not the bridges.
Mm.
And so when I left IBM, I burned the boats, okay,
Yeah.
not the bridges. In other words, I'm not going back. I'm only going forward no matter what from this point. I am not going back. There's no going back to that life. I'm leaving it all behind. I never want to be a corporate employee again, no matter what. I'm not going back. I burned the boats. Didn't burn the bridges, kept the relationships open,
Yeah.
didn't leave in a hurry, didn't quit and be all crazy and, whatever. So I didn't burn the relationships, and they came back later on and years later to actually help me with my business, which was really cool. But there was just no going back, right? So it was no matter what, let's do it. Well, I got in February. I'd asked my wife, Katie, to marry me in December, and we planned to get married in March. And so all that was in progress. Well, by February, which was my birth month, just before my birthday, I got notice that IBM was thinking about moving my entire division to Argentina. And I'm
Oh,
like, well,
wow.
we're going to know officially by June, and then we'll tell you what the plans are. And I'm like,
Hmm.
well, crap. Either I'm going to have to move to Argentina or find another place inside the company, or they're going to offer some other thing, right, at this point. So that scuttlebutt continued on until June, and then eventually they came back and said, "Okay, we think your division should actually be let go. We're not going to send you. So you have an opportunity to apply to other places inside the business. This part of the business is just gone.
Right,
So
right.
you can't go anywhere else. You got to go. And you'll have to start at a different pay grade, most likely inside the company. If you move to another division, there's not a lateral move. So you're most likely going to have to take a business stupidest thing ever. Take a pay cut to go into another division to eventually, in 2 or 3 or whatever years, get yourself back up to the pay grade you were at currently.
That just sounds
Well,
like a terrible afternoon. Yeah.
well, it was not so much fun, but I knew it was
Yeah.
coming, so I
Hmm.
prepared myself. And we got married in March, and I told my wife, and let's look at this. We might need to live off your. She's an RN.
Hmm.
By trade, we might need to live off your salary for a little while if I decide this isn't the right time. And so the whole conversation had a chance to come through. It's like, should I start my own business, do my own thing? I've always wanted to. That's what I wanted to do since we were friends before we ever thought about getting married. You've known this is what I wanted to do. And she's like, well, let's go for it. So that was that. So when they said go, we took the little bit of, retirement, quote unquote, stipend
Yeah.
they gave us, which wasn't much, and started on my business. And then nothing goes to plan, right? By September, we're pregnant.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Yay,
Well,
that's so
yeah.
exciting, right? It
Yeah.
was super cool. But just left the job trying to figure out how to start this business, which I wasn't even really sure what I was going to be doing. Quite
Right,
honestly, I
right.
wasn't going to be there anymore. No, like super duper plan that I'm going to exit doing XYZ. It's just like, hey, I'm out now. I'm going to figure out what it was.
Hmm.
And my wife's super cool with that. So it's just like, let's figure it out. And then, find out we're pregnant. And then find out that she has some serious medical conditions that get exposed during the pregnancy, including multiple transischemic attacks known as mini strokes, TIAs. And with that, has major cognitive issues, visibility issues. She can't drive during the night anymore. She's having a hard time seeing. She's having a hard time recalling things really fast. So it was very kind of a dangerous situation for her in the pregnancy. And so she had to go on bed rest, and she did the maternity leave early, if you will, the early FMLA stuff that they would allow her to do before the pregnancy, but she was going to run out of that extremely fast. So by the time we got to the end of year one, pregnant wife, newly married, new business, and no income, all of a sudden, right? It's like, boom,
Yeah.
all that done in one year.
Yeah. Wow.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, we made a concerted effort at that point to answer your question specifically to just continue forward. Okay, so the home we had built and it literally was building from December to March, knowing we were going to get married, and it got finished somewhere around the July timeframe, if memory serves me correctly, and we moved
Uh-huh.
into that. We were like, well, we can't really stay here long term, because if we're not going to have any income and the business is now what we want to do, this is not where we can stay. We need to expand out. We need to reserve capital. We need to, give this thing longevity, because
Yeah.
otherwise it's going to die in the first year and this isn't going to work. And again, being super cool, flexible lady that she is, she's like, let's just go. So we sold that house. It sold relatively fast. And we moved out to a little rental property in the country of Oklahoma. And I started into mobile media marketing, which is actually
Wow.
what I landed on. Learning
Yeah.
how to do lead generation on mobile phones for cost per install and cost per acquisition, CPA and CPI,
Yeah.
for advertisers, in which I was affiliating traffic. And I actually got really good at it.
Okay. What year did you do that? What
So that
years
would
was
have
that?
been in the 2008, 9-ish, somewhere in there.
Oh, no kidding. I did that for a little while. Didn't know that. I did it in 2013, 2014. I was doing a lot of app install stuff.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun. At that point, there was no web interfaces, graphical, Facebook. I know it sounds like I'm dating myself again, but there were no systems to
It
do
was
media buying. It's so easy
it was
today. I'm
so.
going to talk. I'm going to argue with everybody about this in a minute, because I'm going to talk about the bar, how low the bar is. But
Oh.
it was really difficult then, because we were uploading stuff in spreadsheets with Hail Marys. Like, here's the creative I made. Here is the copy. Here's everything. Here's my 5 lines. I want to test these 5 campaigns, and here's how much I want to dedicate. And then I would give it to the operations manager, and they would upload it in the system. And then it was a Hail Mary. Like, when you said stop, it took 3 days for it to stop. So
Oh
you always
God.
had to make sure
Yes.
that the campaign
Yes.
wasn't running, because there was no way to shut it off. Like, Again, people take it for granted how easy it is now to run traffic and do online marketing. That, it really just got down to the offer. That's what we were working on, was the offer, because the
Right.
mechanism is what it was. And people kind of forget that, because button pushing now is really easy, and you can start a campaign really fast. And there's YouTube tutorials all over the place for any kind of marketing, Amazon, Facebook, Meta, TikTok, whatever,
Yeah.
that they forget all about the offer. Like, who am I selling to, and why am I selling it? Why would they want this? Why would they install it? Why would they buy it? And so we spent all of my time, really just focused on what is the person, who is the offer. It took me 300 campaigns to get my first one to kick off.
Wow.
And then when
Yeah.
it kicked off big. It was like $100 a day in profit. That was
It was
amazing. That was like
addicting.
200,
Yeah.
$500 a day. And it was like $700 and $800 a day. And it just kept going. And I'm like, every campaign I launched after that, I knew who the offer was for, and I knew what they wanted to buy. And I just launched more as I continued to spend more money. And pretty soon I'm at $1,000 a day in profit.
Hmm.
It got done pretty well. So that was marketing
I,
for me.
I think far too many people skip that. Um,
Yes.
you get websites and they're beautifully built websites, but they're built by web developers. They're not built by
They're not
marketers.
built by the content. That's
No,
right. Built on the content. You figure
yeah.
out how to make sales, and sales will fix everything. So a mentor of mine really talked me through that later on, because I wasn't expanding. I was just basically creating a trap again
Hmm.
of trading time for money. All right. Totally 100% on me.
Right.
So I was still self-employed. I wasn't moving forward, right? I was kind of an entrepreneur who wasn't moving forward. And when I realized I needed to build brands, that was like the next step in moving forward, really, was I need to build brands that create systems. And then there's more emotional connectivity to the products than just paid traffic. I need to evolve this, or I'm going to just sit here and flip campaigns my life. And that doesn't sound like a whole lot of fun. So it was
Yeah.
evolving into brand building that really
Yeah.
changed everything.
You're 100% right. Yeah, 100% right. And having everything working and pulling in the same direction with consistent brand and consistent message. I mean, it's so valuable to companies. And, I think they overlook maybe a lot of areas online. They don't, I deal with a lot of people that don't have proper infrastructure set up. And I think what you guys do is really great, man. Can you speak a little bit about, specifically why you went to Amazon and what it is you do on Amazon that makes you guys so special?
I was up one night with my third daughter at that point. I had 4 and 4.5 years, called a
Oh,
glutton for
wow.
punishment, right? So it was like, well, if we can do one, let's see how many we can do, right?
Compress
Like
the
4 and 4.5
difficulty.
years.
Compress
Well,
it. Compress that
I'm an
time.
overachiever, dude. I'm an overachiever. People are like, well, how many? I'm like, I can fill a van with kids, and let's go. So the thing was, I saw opportunity. I knew it was there. We were flipping initially just product for profit, what's called
Hmm.
arbitrage, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And why we did a little differently. We weren't going out and doing the shop your way to wealth stuff through all the Walmarts and stuff you see a lot of people do. I was going to online because I had that experience. And I was looking at all the different, e-com sites that had products, and I'd look at Amazon and say, do they have one? And then I would go over and say, could I buy from their website cheaper than on Amazon? And if I could and make a profit, well, I'd order it from them and ship it to Amazon.
Mm, makes a lot of
Okay. So I
sense.
was just
Yeah,
arbitraging
straight up. Yeah.
online on retailers who I knew were already on Amazon, and I'd buy their product. And sometimes I'd find coupon codes, so I get 20% off, and we'd order like 300. So I remember there's one instance, this VP connected with me from the product campaign, and she's like, you need to stop doing that. And I said, well, I'm making you money in sales. Why? How about you give me a wholesale deal? Well, no, we're not going to do that. I'm like, you want me to stop the sales of your product? Like, if you give me a wholesale deal, I'll keep doing it. I might sell more of it. Well, no, we're not interested in doing that. Okay,
Wow.
well, that was the end of your sales channel, because obviously I was making a dent in it. In fact, I was outperforming their sales channel, and that's what they were torqued off about. So that ended, but I learned then, what's the value of the brand? I control the mechanism of the branding. I control the brand relationship with the customer. I control the manufacturing. I control the intellectual property. So just getting that frame of mind changed over from flipping products as profits to building brands for growth, and potentially exit later on. Okay, bigger picture vision here. I was up one night feeding that third child who had some troubles. Mom was extremely tired, so I'm up, and I'm a night owl anyway. So 3 in the morning, I'm up clicking through infomercials, and up pops this infomercial for this product, and it's about kids, and there's a little video, and they're doing all this things like they do on the infomercial. I'm like, this is so cool. I need to like buy one of these, and I stop myself. I'm like, wait, no, no, no. If I buy one of these, I need to use it as a sample. I need to find out if I can sell one of these. Like, I just clicked. I'm like, I saw it on TV. Well, the product itself wasn't anything spectacular. It was a stuffed animal for your car seat. Okay. And we developed a competitive brand, okay, called Belt Buddies, and theirs was called Seat Pets. So we literally borrowed the traffic that they were bringing on, and we went to Amazon and we put our first 2,000 units of that product, which was a bit of a Hail Mary pass, but I was super convinced it would work and the numbers would work. And my partner's like, okay, well, we'll go with this. His very unique addition to that, because he's a super smart numbers guy, was make sure it's profitable. So we figured that out. And let's make it a little bit unique, just a little bit. So we made the faces a little bit anime-like. Instead of just straight up animal characters, they had a little bit of anime affect. And we put the 2,000 units in. Sold them all in 8 weeks.
Now I've got your attention. Just take a minute and pause. Imagine your business running the way it's supposed to. Your inbox is cleared, your social media posts are scheduled, leads are being called in real time, all while you're meeting for lunch with your newest client. You're free to focus on what actually matters, growing your company, closing deals, building your brand. A virtual assistant can transform how you work, and that is where I can help. If you are ready to see how a vetted, trained virtual assistant can take your business to the next level, go to followsam.live and just click on that big green button. It really is that simple. All right, thanks for listening. Back to the show. Oh, wow.
Right. And that was it. That was our dime bag. We snorted that down and it was just like, oh my gosh, game on. I was like, that took a hit and we're like, we can do this. Like, let's go, and so we were ordering thousands and thousands and more of these and suddenly realized, we could control the brand and take the demand capture of Amazon coming from other locations, including media, television, and infomercials, and grab that market share in Amazon and then watch it organically grow. So that was a huge epiphany. Yeah. And it reshaped the whole affect of how we launched products and brands and capture more and more demands and got really good into the data and the analytics and the profitability of the engine. And then the organic side, which basically heralded back to my days at IBM. We were building latent semantic search engines and artificial intelligence and human machine language learning systems that were all about finding information, delivering it just in time. And it was doing all these really cool, learning things. And that's basically what Amazon is a giant system of AI learning and producing and giving you the product in 30 seconds or less so you buy it. So I was just heads down geeking out on this algorithm that they were using, similar to the one that we were using in the IBM days. And so I was really focused on how the product launches and the title and the copy and the graphics and when it does certain things in the algorithmic launch of a new product over 30, 60, 90, 120 days. And so with that, I was able to then relaunch products, follow that process, and kind of map out a launch process, what we now call our 5x5 product launch playbook. That really puts a product in front of the customers. It's in demand. It's $50 to $200 in retail price point. It's got $20 to $50 in profit per unit. And we know it can rank organically. So then we can then do PPC management. So PPC and traffic management was what I got really good at previously. So I just applied the strategies I had learned to Amazon's PPC engine, which was a lot of fun because it was relatively new and they didn't know a whole lot about what they were doing. And so when I broke the engine, I get a call from the VP of media at Amazon, and they're like, we'd like you to meet with the team because we want to know what you're doing, and we'd like to know how you broke it. And so I had a call with them, explain what was going on, and it kind of changed some of their strategies and watched through to 15 to 2017 when a lot of that changed, which is really cool and fun to watch because they got more like AdWords in their keyword strategy and marketing, which was comfortable for the way we had already done the product and keyword ranking.
Right.
And it's just, building processes and systems to go to, 7 and multi-7, 8 figures, very different than going to a product-based business, which is like 100K, maybe multiple 6 if you're lucky. It was all about how do we take that brand and expand it into a portfolio that's emotionally involved. It's solution oriented. They're not just price or review driven. They're really looking for the value of that product, even if it costs this much, not this much.
Right.
We really went after keeping that higher affiliate brand line and kept launching those products into that higher product price line. And that makes sure that we end up with 20%, net profit at the bottom or EBITDA at the bottom of this thing. And that's important for us, of course, when the time comes to sell the business.
Yeah, for sure, man. So much to unpack there. I'm really enjoying listening to it. So, am I right in hearing that when you're selecting products, do you have a method for that, or are you just watching infomercials late at night and going, I'd
so I'm up at 3 in the morning.
Yeah, because
it's the infomercial strategy for finding products on Amazon. Actually, we called it the As Seen on TV. And later on, I met Kevin Harrington at an event that we hosted in 2016 and became good friends with him. He became a friend, a mentor, a business development partner with us, and have known him ever since. And he's, we coined the phrase "as seen on TV," and we're officially the only Amazon Shark endorsed Amazon agency. But at the end of the day, about product and development was all we were focused on. It was about the data of the product relative to its competition, its search volume, its market share beyond Amazon, its demand and capturing that demand, and how long it would take for us to do it based on the amount of units and time and market and certain metrics that we needed to follow. So it's a very data driven, almost formulaic process now. There's no guessing.
Right.
We can pull, hundreds and thousands of products into our software now, and it tells us based on all the assumptions and data points we want to track to find these successful products, which ones match within that. And then we just simply look at those products, right? When we look at those products, we do one more level of competitive analysis to determine market reach, search volume, and opportunity of the market. How big is it? What's the opportunity cost? And then we get samples and we do market tests. And the faster we market test, faster we find those additional products and expand those brand lines. And it's literally just a formulaic process that just kicks along. But we have specific criteria. We won't sell anything below, $50
Right.
on Amazon. We haven't for a long time, right? It's a high volume revenue, vanity, how many you sell a day kind of crap. And that's where a lot of the tools and programs and courses all end up fighting over each other. What I call Amazon's mosh pit.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
There's just a sweaty mosh pit of bumping into each other. There's the same mosh pit on TikTok. There's the same one on Shopify. Everybody with direct marketing, e-commerce experience runs into this if they're not careful.
Yeah.
And our goal then is to elevate the CLTV, customer lifetime value. Okay. And to elevate any product launch type forward in what we call our green light process, which is determining product profitability. Does it pencil in, and what is its 12-month opportunity? Cost, profitability, and forecast, and then how much capital do we need to deploy to that product in that first year? It means that we typically will average up to $100K in deployment on capital on a new product brand launch in year one, mainly because when we do it on Amazon first, incubate it, and see if we can capture that demand, okay, which is now 5% of all retail sales, and like 49% of all online sales, we're going to find out, can we get mass market approval of the product? If I can, it's going to work better in other channels, right?
Yeah.
So we go in there and we prove that we can do that in 12 months. We know then at that point, through good product, which creates good reviews and really, really good data, because we sell, analytic data to an AI engine called Amazon.com, which then sells products to the customer. And that's our role, right? Then I know by month, year 2 and year 3, that by Amazon's own admission in our own time and market long enough at 12 years, we see exponential increase in those product brands in 2 and years 3. Amazon has now proven that 5% to us, they've at least proven, because we had a conversation and they told me this, that 5% of all products launched in 2024 are what makes up 100% of all products launched in 2024 makes up 5% of all of Amazon's revenue. Just year 1. But year 2, it jumps to 20%.
Really?
Okay. Year 3, it jumps to 40%. Okay. So if you can build year 1 on an e-commerce company, start on the Amazon platform, and then move into multiple channels, that was what you should expect from the life of value and growth cycle of a business of this nature. By year 1, you're building. Year 2, you're growing. Year 3, you're scaling. That's what you should expect to do. Anybody that wants to try it in less than 12 months has to deploy a lot more capital.
Yes, you need a lot more data. Yeah.
A lot more capital to get a lot more data faster so that you can get to growth and scale sooner. Completely doable. But anybody who's like, well, I can spend $5,000 on a product on Amazon and make a 7 or multi-7-figure business is actually lying to themselves. That was 2012. This is 2024. And going into 2025, things are changing very dramatically as well, because the business and market is maturing. And with that comes different opportunity costs.
Give us a couple of examples of that, because I sell stuff online, and I find that sweet spot to be between 130 and 180 bucks. Don't give it away cheap. Don't go fight at the bottom.
No, don't even try to get it off first customer acquisition. Right?
No. And I try to explain that, like, the lifetime value of the customer, it costs so much less to do a great job, fulfill with great service, and follow up and keep that customer in your systems, man. It costs so much less to re-engage and sell an additional product than it does to go out and find a new customer.
It should get easier if you're doing a better job. Absolutely. And that's where brand building comes in, right?
Yeah.
They want one, they want two. If there's some subscribe or subscription opportunity or subscribe and save opportunity, then you want to provide those products to them, right?
100%.
Because they'll buy the additional higher end products. But long story short, not having a first customer acquisition as our only product opportunity, okay, then we're going to look at this in a numerical format for a second, okay? So with us incubating on Amazon year one only, just to determine product, brand, and growth before we would do any additional channels or other things, is to look at Amazon's own Prime database of members that are on there, and then follow Amazon's data for how much they're targeting per customer on the platform.
Right.
Okay, so if they're targeting $1,000 or more per customer per year on average, based on the 200 million Prime subscribers they have, then what do I want to do as a business owner? Right. I need to target 1,000. Why? Because if there's someone who buys a first customer acquisition of a product of mine, then I want them to spend up to $1,000, okay, with me in the next 12 months.
Absolutely.
So what is my CLTV? Okay. It is hopefully more than 12 months, but it's at least $1,000 in 12 months. So what do I have to do? I got to sell them one $1,000 product in 12 months. Okay. Or follow the math. I got to do 10, 100, and so on and so on. Okay, so how do I get them to do that? Well, it's not one product, right? One product does not make a brand. I saw a business for sale the other day because we're in acquisition mode, and they had one product and they wanted to sell it for $5 million. We're like, no, nope. Okay, so we need 5 products minimum in the marketplace. There are triggers within their algorithmic thing that says you do better when you have more products that are selling in the marketplace above a certain point. The whole account will do better. The whole business will do better. So you have a brand with multiple products, right? Once you discover what they are, you sell more of them in the same packaging to more people. So as we broaden that base, it's like retail. We're borrowing from retail, an old trick, basically, because I have the iPhone, I got the iWatch, I got the iPad, I got the Pro desktop. My wife has one, and the kids got one, and then you spread it out. I want my brands to go the same way in year 2 and year 3.
Right.
That's where growth and scale comes in. And I also know that by time in market, Amazon's own system is going to force those more and more and more in year 2 and 3. Because if they're at the top of the cream of the crop rises to the top. So that data is going to move faster in year 2 and year 3, where real growth and scale is going to come from. Am I answering your question?
Yeah. And
Okay. I want to make sure I stay on target here.
No, you're good, man. I've got so e-comm. There's a lot of guys I know that try to do it and haven't quite figured it out yet. So I wanted to ask, what are some of the most common mistakes you see new guys making, and how can your team at Voltage, how can you guys help them?
Well, the common mistakes, and this is why I always address with somebody who's wanting to start this or even considering getting help from someone, anybody. There's time, energy, attention, and money. Okay. The team aspect of doing this.
Yeah.
Okay? Whether you are not an island unto yourself, I hardly ever see single businesses reach a really large affect without some additional resources and time management. And of course, the energy, attention required to keep that balanced correctly, and the monetary and capital deployment goals to really make it run. What I don't see is a lot of people really accepting the truth of those things. They're always trying to find something more passive or easier to do and wanting to hand it off to somebody because they're not willing to take the time to learn how to do it, execute it, and fail fast to success. Okay. And they're not really truly wanting to listen when you tell them that it requires X amount of capital to run in this business. They hear you, but they don't want to believe you, or they want to scoff in your face and say, well, that's stupid. That's a ridiculous amount of money. No one ever does that. Well, that's not true. Okay. Because one guy's 500 is another guy's 5,000 is 50,000 is 5 million, and so on and so forth. And every level of business, there's different games to be played. And as every business matures over time, those lines, become more defined by who the small fish and the big boys are. So if most people are wanting to get started to be able to play like the big boys, they can't start at the small fish pond. They got to go to war. They got to have the money and the time and energy and be dedicated to basically doing something that people don't understand and they fail at. They don't fail at the process. They fail to follow the process. They don't fail at the success. They fail to keep going until they succeed. They fail to give themselves enough time to become successful in what they're focusing on, right? 17 years to an overnight success.
I
didn't walk into this 3 or 4 years ago.
I hope you guys are listening. Like this guy, he worked for it. Like it's
well, not... I worked for it. I made mistakes. I got things that were good and did things right, and I lost millions of dollars doing things bad. Okay, but there are levels of risk.
Nobody ever goes over that on the TikTok, Instagram things where everybody's
No, they
instantly.
want to sell you the $7 or $5 or $3,000 program and then don't really tell you you need 10 times that amount of capital to launch the products
Oh,
correctly, get them
easily.
to market,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
give them enough time to become successful.
Yeah.
Or test enough of them, okay? Fail, 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 success, fail, fail, success. And like you start to see the pattern in the data. What they come in and think is, well, if I don't succeed, then you're the failure. Your program sucked. You didn't work. You didn't teach me how to do this correctly. And that is not how it works. You, as I say in the country out here, you can lead a horse to water, but he can't make it drink. Okay.
Correct.
You have to
Yeah.
understand that every time you test a product, every time you test a segment, every time you test a campaign, an ad, you are going to expect to fail so you gain the data necessary to execute properly so you can succeed.
You should
Because
get that.
execution,
You should get
the
that put on a
knowledge.
sign. You should get that up on a
I don't think it
sign.
would fit on a t-shirt. It's way too long. Nobody wants to read the whole thing. You execute to knowledge, and from knowledge, you get your failures and success so that
Yes.
you learn how to gain wisdom.
Yeah, I mean, it's all a big
Right?
part. It's all a big part of researching your market and build it, measure it, learn it, and just keep sending it back out there and improving. Like I think a lot of guys miss that. They don't quite have the patience. They see the instant success on Instagram, and they don't see, like, literally it's hundreds of thousands of dollars in testing sometimes to get this
Millions.
right.
It depends. It's millions. Like I know we've spent and made millions on both sides of the coin, making and spending or losing through the process of doing this, either through actually losing it
Yeah,
or losing it because we weren't strong enough in the market to lose and lost the opportunity to gain the upside potential because we either didn't stay in it or we made mistakes in the process.
correct.
Right. So if you go to the other half of your question, it is I have an imperfect process called the 5x5 product launch playbook.
Hmm.
And in the imperfect process, it is to fail faster in defining the products that you do launch so that the ones that do take off, you know what they did right, you know how to repeat it, and you capitalize it correctly to take advantage of the market. Think about it like waves coming in on a shore.
Yeah,
Okay. If you expect that you're going to go out on a boogie board for the first time in your new e-commerce business and catch every wave the first time, you're ignorant. You've never been to the beach. Okay. You go to the
love
beach,
it.
lucky that every 10 or so waves, you actually get one right on your boogie board and make it all the way into shore. And you get that feeling and you're like, woohoo. And then you want to do it again. So what happens? You go back into the water 9 more times to get the one wave that feels right. Okay.
I
That's
love
how
it.
business works.
Wow. Thank you for breaking it down like that, man. Yeah. I wish there was a way that I'd thought of to explain it that clearly. Yeah, you
Well, we all
just,
go to the beach and we have kids. And
yeah,
so what do we do? What do coaches do, like parents do for kids on the beach when the wave is coming in? We grab the boogie board, we put them on the boogie board, we make sure they got their life vest on if they're that young. And then when the wave comes along, because we have the experience, we're standing in the water, we can see things that they cannot see when they're laying flat on the water. Okay, Mr. Business Owner launching your new business. And then we push them with the wave when we see it. Okay.
yes,
Higher chance of success that they will catch the wave. Where do they fail in that process once I let go of them? Okay. If they
yeah.
fail to ride the wave the rest
They
of the way
fall
into
off.
the ocean,
Yeah.
if they fall off of it, if they get scared, if they
Hmm.
think they're not going to make it, if they think they're not confident in it, okay, they're going to fall off the boogie board. Is it my fault you fell off the boogie board after I let go of you? No.
No.
Should you get back on the boogie board and come back and let's do it again? Absolutely. That is the process of building an e-commerce business. It is launching product and looking for that opportunity to ride that wave in.
Hmm.
And sometimes you're going to miss it or it's not going to be the right product. So you go back out again, you try it again, and you try it again until you get closer and closer to, instead of 1 out of 10 waves, you start catching 5 out of 10 waves.
Yep.
Okay, now you're at 50-50. At 50%, you can make millions of dollars in e-commerce,
That's how
failing
it
on
works.
50% of the products and hitting 50% of them right some of the time. Okay.
Yeah.
That is the real opportunity. So the premise of your question was, why do people fail in this process? They simply fail to get in the water. Okay. To listen to their coach when they tell them how to get on the boogie board. And then they dramatically fall off the boogie board and said the whole thing is a failure because the first time they got on it, they didn't ride it all the way to the shore.
I love that analogy. I may have to steal that and steal it like an artist.
Borrow on, brother.
What a
Borrow on.
wonderful analogy. Is it's having somebody that can see over the waves, that can guide you and tell you when to go.
That's exactly right. Why? Because there are waves in everything. There's waves in business. There's waves in life. There's undercurrents. There's sharks in the water. There's all that stuff that me here with experience in 12 years of this and in 17 years building online and offline businesses can see that you simply can't see because
Yeah.
you're down here, but I'm up here. So if you trust me, like my child would, to go out into that water and just hop on that board and say, okay, daddy, let's go, because they just implicitly trust me, which they do,
Yeah.
they're going to have a lot of fun time riding that wave. And I'm going to do my best to not hurt them or have them fall off or to fail in that process. And that's like business. It could be deployment of capital. It could be time. It could be the energy. It could be the product and saying, well, why does this product not work versus that one? Well, let me show you because I can see this.
Right.
Because there's always sharks in the water when you go from Hell Island to Heaven Island, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if
I
you're
like
on
that
Hell
thought.
Island, I can't get this to work and I don't want to be here and there's my W-2 and I don't know if I should fire the man and I hate my life and I want a better life. You got to get on the rowboat to get to Heaven Island, and Heaven Island's where we're all hanging out. And you want to come here, and I'm already on there. I know how to get there. I'm already here. So you don't need to question me. I know where I'm at. The end result is, are you willing to get in the boat and row?
Welcome to Intermission.
So I don't run commercials on the show, but if I did, I'd remind you about our free community on School, the Clinic. A place where you can learn from me, the small business surgeon, and get direction, support, and accountability from others in the group. To create your free account, go to followsam.live and click Join the Clinic. All right, thanks for that. Back to the show.
Thank you. Come again.
There's sharks in the water. Of course there are.
Yeah.
You're going to have failures. Stop looking at it as the abject failure of the entire business and only start looking at it as the process by which you will get to success. Right? And we're in the process of buying companies right now that have already gone through that process. We were on a call this morning looking at an LOI for a company that we hope to get under a letter of intent. They want about 12 million for the business. It's this gigantic, amazing content engine we're going to use for physical product distribution. If the LOI works, great. If we're able to figure out any idiosyncrasies and issues with the business, then most likely we're going to put it in the portfolio and we're going to use it going forward. That's moving through the different quadrants that some of you want to be at, but you're not even there because you haven't even gone in the ocean yet.
Right.
So if you're going to get in the ocean, follow a process. Don't expect it to be perfect, but expect to work the process. 80% of my process is exactly defined by every success that preluded anybody getting involved in it, including we operating businesses and following the same process every day on our own products and brands we launch every day, every week, every month in our business. The 20% is the nuance.
Mm-hmm.
Do you show up? Did you put in the work? Did you follow the process? Do you have the right capital to deploy? Are you following and asking questions and getting help and actually doing the process and developing a new brand and a new product line? That's the 20%.
Yeah.
Right? It's only 20%, but people want it to be the 100%. Like they got the numbers inversed, guys. It's only 20%. Find the 20%, find the product, and turn it into a very different business life for you. Then you can do what you want.
It's so strange how that rule's almost universal, that 80-20 thing. You can find it anywhere.
Everywhere. Pareto's law.
Yeah.
It is literally in everything. Okay. Everything I just said doesn't have to be e-comm. It could be getting in real estate. It could be starting a vending company. It could be getting out in the, digital marketing space and being a lead gen company. It really doesn't matter.
Nope.
At the end of the day, it's all mindset. So the failure point of that entire conversation is that people fail in their mind. They make mountains out of molehills. They don't have the confidence and tenacity and perseverance to move forward. So they see challenges as bricks they lay on a wall until the wall is so big they can't get over it. And then they look at everybody and say, well, there's a wall here. I'm like, well, of course there's a wall. You built it. Brick by brick, excuse by excuse.
You're making me chuckle. This is literally it's straight out of the entrepreneur playbook. You're describing. Yeah.
It's daily, weekly, monthly experience dealing with clients, dealing with our own business, our own operations, the opportunities for things to go well, product launches that do great, product launches that are like, yeah, product launches that are like, okay, well, I'm glad we didn't spend more money on that. Let's ditch that and go try another one, because we call that don't marry your product, steal somebody else's instead, because there are just so many out there to go after, and just keep the process going until something succeeds and then follow the pattern of success.
I love it. Yeah.
So, fun stuff.
I'm a huge proponent of mindset and programming yourself with an I am statement and really manifesting the things that you want to achieve in life. How did you figure that out? What was your gateway into that? Because I love the way you solve every entrepreneur problem with it's in the brain.
Well, it's a lot of trial and error, and I'm stubborn, and I don't like to say no unless somebody, like, no to me is a KNOW,
right?
Unless it's a hell no, like hell no, get out of my face, hell no, leave me alone, hell no, no. If it's a no, it's typically a KNOW. There's some component, something in the team thing, something in the money, something in somewhere could be mind, confidence, expectations, reality or perceived reality. It's a KNOW. So which of those problems is being defined? Well, is that no, I don't have the capital? Well, as Mark Cuban says, if you're, don't have the resources, be resourceful. Okay. If you want to do it, find the capital. So really what I learned is that from an 82-year-old man who was a dropout of high school and a two-tour Vietnam vet who eventually, became a mechanic and then worked in the same company for like 28 years, I learned tenacity, grit, perseverance, and a can-do attitude. I didn't learn
Right.
about business and finances and money because he really didn't know anything about that. What he knew was about hard work and ethics, standing up and getting the job done and taking no for an answer, which just wasn't in the books. If I said, no, Dad, I don't want to help, you darn sure I was going to get a Navy man's worth of reasons why I should get my butt up and go do it. Because he was a very strong man. He was also mean at times because of that background. And sometimes I didn't like him at all because he was extremely mean. He later got saved by the Lord and has become a humble guy who is just very, very different in affect and the way he treats my children at, now and in the last 20 years and now 82, than he was when I grew up. He was a mean son of a gun, tough as nails sailor. And he did not put up shit for an answer. So I had to learn how to become tenacious, go getting, do it anyways, get over my problems and just get it done.
Yeah.
There's a tremendous amount of life lesson in having that father figure around. What he didn't teach me was how to build a business, run a company, teach people, build and make money. He told me how to earn it, but he didn't teach me how to make it and keep it. Big difference.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yep. So as I grew up, the old story of the rich dad, poor dad, right?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, my rich dad turned out to be my entrepreneurial uncle who built companies and was building a boat company in San Diego with his own bare hands, working like 12 hours a day in the boat company, and was building on his entrepreneurial dream through that. And I got to be a part of that, and I got to look at it and go visit him and talk to him and have conversations. And he opened my mind to the idea of money and making and doing your own thing. And it was kind of two conversations in my head. He both extolled the value of hard work and effort and tenacity and grit and perseverance that my dad did, but he was actually on the other side of here's what money really is, and here's how you really use it, and here's what it looks like in a business, and here's what I'm doing with it. So that really gave me two focal points of how not just to earn money, but to make money.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And that really changed my forward thinking progress. Unfortunately, as in the younger career that I had before I had even gotten out, in fact, a catalyst of me saying no to IBM was he died in an ultralight aircraft accident in 2006.
Oh, man.
And in that, he had not fulfilled the things he wanted to do. And we were just getting started on me maturing into the business ideas and things I wanted to do and was really needing his support and understanding as I started my own business. And he was gone.
Right.
Being gone that fast was one of the things where I realized I didn't want to wait anymore.
Yeah.
And as time and luck would have it, whether it was providential, whether it was created, whether, situations be what they are, when 2007 rolled around, I'm like, burn the boats. I'm out of here.
Yeah. I guess that makes a lot of sense then. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just said, I'm never looking back. By the way, he was a boat builder. Set the record on called a trimaran between San Diego and Hawaii. I don't know if that record still stands, if I remember correctly.
That's a long trip on a boat.
A long trip on a boat
Yeah.
and set the speed record between San Diego and Hawaii.
That's incredible, man. Yes.
It's a cool dude.
And
He was also a Green Beret in Vietnam.
definitely one to look up to.
He was. He just really understood the business of life and the relationship aspect and really helped me understand, who gets you there and what keeps you there.
Yeah.
So if you can get with those who know what they are doing in business and they're willing to give you their time, or you got to buy their time one way or another, you get in there and you learn and you figure it out and you stay there, and that network and that connection will lead you to successes over a whatever period of time it's going to take. The old equation of like, how long is a piece of string? People want to know. Can I be successful in 12 months? I don't know. How long is a piece of string?
Yep.
However long I cut it. Okay, so then what's the answer to success? However long it takes me to get there, but one way or another, I'm going to get there.
Yeah. Wow. And how long is a piece of string, and how much do you want to spend, and how fast do you
it's going to take,
how fast
however
do you
long
want to
it's
get
going
there?
to how much it's going to cost. If you want it, it will get there. You will get there.
It's been some great conversation, Neil. I've got just a couple more questions before we got to wrap up for you, man. I'm a huge proponent of continuing education, ongoing education, as it were, and I love to read. So along that vein, I know there's a whole bunch of books behind you. Is there anything you've read recently that stands out that you'd recommend to the audience?
So recently read or just things that I would recommend you read. So I'm going to go personal and business, if that's okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. I won't self-plug, but that one's mine. But on the other book side,
You
there's
can
something called
self-plug.
there's something called Good to Great.
Yes.
You can read the name on that one. Go check it
Yes.
out. It's on Amazon. There's one over here called Good to Great. Okay. Why is that still a preference for listening and learning in business? Because this case studies, the understanding and the data that you understand about business, tenacity, and perseverance, as I just explained it, and why companies become good and how they become differentiators to make them great. It's just an amazing read, and you should consume it down. Okay. You should consume it and learn it. Walgreens, a case study, is actually falling apart right now. So you're going to learn, paying attention to why Walgreens is actually losing market share and on its way to bankruptcy, because they were a strategy that deployed into a great one, as the book showed their case study. And from the data they learned, but now they're turning into a not so great company and falling apart. So you can get both of those in near real time. Okay?
That'd be super interesting.
Yeah, such a great read. The other one's The E-Myth by Michael Gerber.
Oh, yeah.
If you're new to business and need to really understand the concepts, read The E-Myth. Okay, that's a fantastic one. If you need a health on the personal side, you want to understand why am I autoimmune issues, what is autoimmune, and why am I could be sick, read the Wheat Belly book. Okay, read that. There's one sitting right over there. Read one called China RX and understand where our supply chain comes from of things you put in your mouth every day for things that are supposed to cause, opportunities to make your health better. Understand where that all comes from. That'll open your eyes on the personal side a lot. And if you want to get on the spiritual side for a second, read Wild at Heart by Max Lucado, especially those who are men. Wild at Heart is talking about letting that inner boy, okay, that you have inside of you be a man and let him do the things that are wild at heart. Okay.
I'll have to give that one a read.
We were meant to be the hunter, the forager, the protector, okay, the non-toxic but masculine figure that we are called to be as men, that gets suppressed by the lives we live now if we're not careful. And the way we work, the way we do things, the way we structure home and other things. And he really unpacks that Wild at Heart. And why, if you've got boys, it's so important to let them have that affect, and why it's okay to wrestle with them. There's even studies now that have proven that kids who wrestle with their fathers when they're young are more likely to be stronger, have confidence, and a personal and self-control. And this study was literally just done recently. You can go check it out online. Don't just trust me, just go read the study. And it was really about finding that there was a huge difference between fathers who wrestle with their children when they're young and ones who don't. Imagine that, right?
Love it. Yeah.
And so that's really one about being wild at heart and remembering that we have an ingrained need to be who we are and what we are. It's why little boys, literally, without being told or never watching shows or whatever, and being young and growing up, and I don't have boys in my house, but I've watched my family with boys do this. They will want to play, kick rocks, make war, play gun things, and just wrestle and be boys without any knowledge or influence of anything else occurring that would give them any perceived value of that. They just know it. Yep. They just are it. It's part of who they are.
Mine are 11 and 13, and I can still pin them both down at once, but I'm not sure how much longer that'll last. The 11-year-old's getting big,
right? Because then it becomes more of a wrestling later on, right? That's good, man.
Yeah.
I have all girls, so I have to deal with life very differently.
Yeah.
All girls, and
but
so those are my recommendations.
Wonderful. Neil, man, thank you so much for hanging out with us today, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. You're welcome back anytime. Really enjoyed.
I'm honored. Thank you for having me on the show.
Guys, that was Neil Twa. Please do me a favor. Go check out his socials, check out his links. We've got him here in all the show notes. He is the founder of Voltage Digital Marketing, best-selling author on Amazon, and all around really nice guy. So if you've enjoyed it, please go show him some love, share the show, and we're going to get out of here, but I will see you on Friday for Friday Fire. Neil, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
All right, guys, that wraps up another episode of the Small Business Surgeon podcast. I hope that you have taken away some valuable insights from today's show. If you did and enjoyed it, be sure and hit that like and subscribe button, and share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. And if you're serious about growing your business and you want to be a part of a community of like-minded entrepreneurs, just go to followsam.live and join our free group, The Clinic. All right, I'll see you next week.